Good morning.
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 Yeah, I mean, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Bob, you obviously found the link. I just resent it.
Yes, I finally found it. Thank you, Pam.
Sorry, I just saw your email.
And have we got everyone on? All right. Well, it is 8:30. Bob, you think okay to start? Can't tell if everyone's on.
I don't think we have Mike yet, do we? I don't see Mike. That's the only one I see that we're missing, and I don't remember if he said he was going to be here or not.
Okay, well, why don't we start, and then if we see him come on, we can acknowledge his presence. So, all right, so it is 8:32 a.m., Friday, June the 8th, and I would like to call this Ways and Means Commission of Town and Country to order. Could we please have roll call?
Ms. Weber. Present. Mr. Aiken.
Here.
Mr. Conrad. See that
He's here.
present. Mr. Frederickson.
Here.
He's here.
Mr. Wislinski. I do not see John.
Hello.
Oh, you there, John?
No, I'm testing my sound, Bob. This is Oz. I'm sorry.
You can't stand in for him, Oz.
No, I know. I just have trouble with this sound all the time.
Mr. Prost.
Here.
Present. Mr. Roberts.
He was not going to be able to make it.
Okay. And Ms. Fabic.
Here.
Present. You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Have a quorum, and again, thank you all for being available. I believe we've always had a good, very much committed Ways and Means Commission. I appreciate that. Okay, first of all, I would like to have a motion to modify the agenda to allow for public comment, and then also to allow for the introduction of a very great addition to our city staff. So
Can I add one thing
you can.
real quick? You know, typically we have an item on the agenda that says economic update, which would cover any new businesses coming into town since we last met. So that's all I want somebody to say something about. Okay.
If we have time, we can do that, but
Take 1 minute.
we have big fish to fry today. Thank you. Okay, so do we have a motion?
I so move.
Thank you. And a second. Was that Bob? Was
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Aiken seconded. Okay, so we have modified the agenda. And we will go ahead then and allow for the public comment to happen. And do we have someone on who wanted to speak?
I don't believe we do, Madam Chair. We had a resident interested in speaking, but I don't think they have joined us. Morgan, are you on? Is anybody asked to join?
I did not receive any request for public comments for this meeting.
Okay, well, she might have changed her mind. Okay, thank you. We'll move forward then. So Mr. Shelton, would you please proceed with this introduction?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As many of you are probably aware, unfortunately, Pam Wrights has decided to retire. The good news is we're pleased to announce Joanne Jadali, who is on your meeting today, has joined us as our new finance director. She's been working with Pam, transitioning, And Joanne comes to us from the city of Webster Groves, where she most recently served as finance director and assistant city manager. She's previously been in finance positions with the cities of Glendale and Ferguson and one other, she'll have to remind me, but she is also Wildwood. Joanne's a certified public finance officer. She's an accredited fiduciary and certified employee benefits specialist. She has a BS in business administration and her MBA in business administration from Iowa State. She's active in many financial local government organizations. She's received many awards, had speaking engagements, and published articles. She's also currently a board member of our loggers, which is our retirement system. So Mr. Conrad, you'll be able to ask her all the questions about our loggers benefit program. So in all seriousness, we're thrilled to have Joanne join us and serve as our new finance director. We obviously will miss Pam very, very much, but Pam will be assisting us with our transition, which we're thrilled.
Thank you. Joanne, did you want to comment, or we do appreciate you being
Sure,
here.
thank you so much. It truly is an honor and a privilege to be working for the city of Town and Country. And I've heard great things about the board as well as the city administrator. I've known him for quite a long time. And of course, I've known Pam Wrights also very, very long. And she's just been great at training me in this new position. And so I'm just thrilled. I can't wait to continue to work here for many, many years.
Great. Okay, I see no comment, and yes, we all welcome you and very much appreciate what we're going to be working on in the next few years, hopefully. Okay, so this will get us back to our agenda that we are going to proceed. So you all received the minutes from the April 30th meeting of 2021. Do you have, are there any additions or corrections?
I move approval.
Second,
And we have an approval and second of the minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Thank you. Great. And the minutes are approved. Okay, so let's move on to the presentation of our 2020 financial audit. Christina Jacquin, hope I said that right, from Showalter and Jabori. And I believe I see Steve. Hi, Steve. I didn't. Okay, so yes, Christina, thank you. If you'd like to proceed.
Good morning, commissioners. As Sue said, my name is Christina Jacquin with Showalter and Jabori. I was the audit manager for the city's audit. I also have Steve Trippy with me, who you spoke to earlier this year at the beginning of the audit. So I wanted him to join as well for continuity's sake. So as Sue mentioned, we performed an audit of the city's financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2020. On page 1 of the financial report, you will find our report on the city's financial statements. In our auditor's report, we give our opinion on the financial statements. And in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. Due to the ongoing significant local, national, and global impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have included an emphasis of matter paragraph that refers readers to footnote 9 in the financial statements, which discusses the pandemic. I wanted to stress that the inclusion of this paragraph does not change our opinion. We still have a clean opinion. Under the current GASB 34 reporting model, there are 2 sets of financial statements for governments: the fund financial statements and the government-wide financial statements. The fund financial statements begin on page 25, and they are prepared on the modified accrual basis of accounting using a current resources measurement focus. This means that fund financial statements focus on primarily financial resources and do not measure long-term assets and liabilities. Fund financial statements are prepared using a major fund concept. So all the major funds of the city are shown in separate columns. The city's major governmental funds are the general, road, capital improvements, and parks and stormwater funds. All of the other non-major funds are grouped together and shown in a separate column. In the section called Other Supplementary Information, beginning on page 56, combining schedules of the non-major funds are presented. The city's non-major funds are the police training funds and the public art fund. In addition to these fund statements, the city statements also include government-wide financial statements. The government-wide statements consist of a statement of net position, which can be found on page 23, and a statement of activities, which can be found on page 24. The statement of net position presents the financial condition of the city as a whole and is prepared using the full accrual basis of accounting. This means that all assets and all liabilities of the city are included. Therefore, capital assets, capital lease obligations, and liabilities for pension and other post-employment benefits are reported. This presentation is similar to that of a for-profit business. The statement of activities presents direct expenses and program revenue for each function of the city's activities. The net amount shows the extent to which each function is either self-financing or draws from the general revenues of the city. This statement is also prepared on the full accrual basis of accounting. Because of the differences in the basis of accounting used in the governmental fund financial statements and the government-wide financial statements, there are reconciliation pages provided that reconcile the total fund balance of the governmental funds to the total net position of the governmental activities of the city, and a reconciliation of the change in governmental fund balances to the change in net position of governmental activities of the city. Also included in the report is the management's discussion and analysis. This is where the finance department provides an overview and analysis of the city's financial activities for the year. This analysis is found beginning on page 4. For the year ended December 31st, 2020, the city's governmental funds ended with a total fund balance of approximately $12.8 million, which is an increase of approximately $1.1 million from the prior year. The unassigned total governmental fund balance at year end was approximately $8.2 million, which is all in the general fund. This unassigned fund balance is 81% of current year general fund expenditures. The total net position of the city at December 31st, 2020 is approximately $50.5 million, which is a decrease of approximately $163,000 over the prior year. Unrestricted net position at year end was approximately $5.4 million. I would like to point out that the finance department again had the initiative this year to prepare an annual financial report. Previously, this was referred to as a comprehensive annual financial report, or a CAFR. This report goes above and beyond what is required by government standards. The contents of this report conform to the highest standards for preparing governmental financial statements. The purpose of the annual financial report is to give the Ways and Means Commission, the Board of Aldermen, administration, and the citizens of town and country a clear and concise picture of the city's financial condition and to enhance accountability and transparency to the public. We would like to commend the city for all the work that went into the preparation of this document. For 2020, we also performed a single audit in accordance with the uniform guidance. A single audit is larger in scope than a regular financial statement audit and is required when an entity spends more than $750,000 in federal awards during a year. The city's total federal expenditures were $893,000. Of that total, the Coronavirus Relief Fund consisted of $744,000. We audited the Coronavirus Relief Fund program as the major program in accordance with applicable standards and noted no findings or control deficiencies. We also issued a report on internal control related matters and advisory comments, where we give suggestions for strengthening internal control and improving operating efficiency. In the prior year, we had identified one deficiency that we considered to be a significant deficiency in internal control. We noted that the city has implemented procedures this year to correct the deficiency, and therefore the comment was not repeated in the current year. In addition to those items required to be reported, we have made some suggestions for improvement for management and the board to consider. Finally, we have issued a report titled Report to the Board of Aldermen. These are required communications by an auditor to those charged with governance at the conclusion of an audit. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Shelton, Ms. Wrights, and their staff for the many courtesies extended to us during our audit. And at this time, I would be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
I'm not seeing any hands. I only have 9 screens at a time. Okay, do we see any question? I see none. Okay,
Madam Chair, I have one quick question in the report on internal control. Ms. Jacqueline, if just as a point of clarification, the segregation of duties municipal court, this is in response to the state mandated requirement under Senate Bill 5 that the court absorb more of the financial reporting and duties, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
okay. All right.
So, Madam Chairman, I have
yeah.
two questions.
Go
I
ahead.
have two questions. This disaster recovery plan that is mentioned under in the letter. Bob, tell us a little about that, will you please? Who's doing that? And when will that be done? Et cetera.
No, excellent question, Mr. Conrad.
And how much is it costing the city to do it?
Yeah, good, all good questions. So last question first, the city budgeted $100,000 for IT infrastructure improvements. And so we have had a first look at the audit by Winning Technologies, who is our IT provider. They're a new firm we have contracted with. So as a huge part of that, disaster recovery will be undertaken in this year.
I have a question. Madam Chair?
Okay, hold on. Does that answer? Okay, is that
It's part of
top?
it, but to me, that's an item that takes more discussion than we're going to have time to do this morning. So
We can discuss it further and
I just like to know more about it. That's all.
okay.
And is that something that the auditors will have to look at and opine on eventually?
We will not have to opine on the IT plans. I mean, so this is a suggestion that the city have a plan in place and that the plan is approved by the board and that you test it. So really it's a suggestion for operating procedure, best practice, so that if something, were to happen, that you have the ability to recover data.
Okay. I said I had two questions. The other question has to do with this lease GASB thing, okay? Recommendation, whatever it is. Do we expect that to have any kind of financial impact on the city? Does that require what? What does it require that we're not doing now other than looking at our leases?
So GASB 87 is effective for fiscal year 2022. It was originally effective 18 months prior to that, but with COVID-19, everything got delayed a couple of years. So what GASB 87 requires is, in accounting, there used to be a divide between consideration of leases. So you had operating leases and you had capital leases. So an operating lease was something where you were just leasing something that you didn't intend to own. Wasn't really a finance purchase. We typically see operating leases for larger things. You had capital leases where that was more of like a finance to own type of thing. Capital leases used to be recorded on the government-wide financial statements as debt, which the city does have. I believe there's 2 capital leases. GASB 87 eliminates the distinction between operating leases and capital leases. So they're all just leases. And they require you to put an asset on the government-wide financial statement. So the idea is the asset is the right to use an equipment or building or whatever. And then you also have a corresponding liability. So a debt type of item for the liability for that asset. So you don't really have a significant net position impact because you're having an asset and you're having a liability that are going to be fairly similar, not the same, but amounts will be similar. So there will be an impact to the city. I don't believe it will be too much of an impact on net position, but it will be something to consider and implement for 2022.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now if someone else had a question and
Randy.
Randy.
Andy, please go ahead. Thank you.
Just wanted to share something I saw on the news last night on Channel 4, that the St. Clair County has been hacked, and they're using a firm. They interviewed a firm called Spear Tip Cybersecurity Solutions. That's Spear, SPEAR Tip, TIP, that are experts in this field. And I looked it up, and they're right in the 63131 zip code. It might be a resource for you. Also, to get a competitive bid, they're in the building just south of the Greek Assumption Church. But it's called Spear Tip, one word, Cybersecurity Solutions. So, like I said, St. Clair County is going through this right now. They've been hacked. So, might be a resource.
Great, thank you. Okay, do we have any other questions regarding our audit from Showalter and Jabori and Christine? All right, I seeing none. Thank you so much. We appreciate your hard work and expertise, and we'll probably see you again.
Yep. Well, thank you, commissioners. We appreciate the opportunity to work with the city of Town and Country. We value our relationship, and I mean, we had a great experience with the audit this year. So thank you to Pam and Bob and the rest of your staff as well.
And
Okay,
Pam,
thank you,
good luck.
Mr. Tippy.
Pam,
Thank
good
you.
luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Christina.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate the work that you've done this year.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thanks all. All righty, let's move on. And we have next on the agenda, the selection of a vice chairman for Ways and Means.
Madam Chair, I
Yes,
would
yes.
like to nominate Hans Friedrichsen to be vice chair of our commission.
Okay. Do
Second.
we have, and we have a,
Second.
thank you. All right, do we have any other wonderful volunteers or nominations? Well, let's say all those in favor of selecting Mr. Frederickson as our vice chair for Ways and Means, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Yes, Bob, did you go? Want to? Oh,
Yeah.
that was your vote. Okay. Any comments?
Congratulations, Hans.
Thank you. What a tremendous honor. I appreciate your confidence.
Thank you. That was going to be my sentiments. Congratulations and thank you so much as we move forward. Okay. We are looking for a fire and EMS task force update. Bob, Mr. Shelton, would you like to report on that?
Certainly, Madam Chair. The Fire and EMS Task Force met yesterday morning. They continued to review all of the scenarios that you all looked at previously, and they did vote to recommend on to the Board of Aldermen that the board consider either options 4, which would include the city operating 2 fully staffed, strategically located new stations, or options what we consider, or they considered 5 and 6, which would entail being annexed by the fire district and having the fire district build, own, operate 2 fully staffed, strategically located stations. And the recommendation, and Madam Chair, you co-chair that committee, you can speak, but the synopsis was in order to really address the needs citywide response times that even operating the current station and one new station didn't accomplish what the task force thought needed to be accomplished. So that was a recommendation that would then move on to the Board of Aldermen.
Thank you. So yes, that I do appreciate the hard work and discussions that have gone into these, I think, 10 or 11 meetings of the task force. I'm going to, at this point, clarify the recommendation was made by the task force. There was a vote. There were all ayes except for one individual who is on the screen with you today. So I did vote a nay on that as a consideration of what I would consider in the whole financial scenario of the city. And looking back at last summer when we were again concerned with the long-range financial well-being of the city. I guess I'll go ahead and include this. So our mayor, and I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier, our mayor had planned to be here, except we have this meeting on a day where he had already had patients scheduled. So our mayor will be listening to this. He will be making every attempt and will be working to make attempts to schedule our meetings when he is available, because he's a key person for the Ways and Means. He had sent out an email saying that the board does have a retreat coming up on June 23rd. And a key component of discussion will be this fire and EMS referral and or how the board will move forward to the end of the year till this decision needs to be made on by December 31st of 2021, how we proceed. So the mayor had said he'd like, in the email, he would like also for the Ways and Means to have a thorough vetting of the information, and certainly for us to be able to discuss, this commission could discuss all the financial impacts. And I responded back the possibility of having trying to have a Ways and Means Commission meeting prior to the 23rd. And I communicated with Bob this morning and with Pam. And so we initially came up with the Friday, June the 18th. And just looking at all the scenarios and the financial impact to the city, where we are, we haven't had that long range plan financial update lately, and thought that this is a very key time to have that. So we came up with June the 18th, but the mayor was not available on the 18th unless we had it at 7 o'clock. And I'm okay with that if people would like to, would be able to, if we could get a quorum on the 17th, or the 18th is, and I'm not messing up the dates, am I, Bob? And then the day before, the 17th, I believe was the Thursday. Wait a minute. Now I'm going back. Okay, what we're trying to do is come up with a Ways and Means commission meeting the week before our retreat, so Ways and Means could have weighed in on our current financial situation. So if we
Go
look
ahead.
at 17th, is that a date that works?
No,
Doesn't work for me.
who said it doesn't? I say it doesn't for me. I can't do it the 17th.
Okay, what about okay, so, all right, so
Madam
Pam,
Chair, you had sent me a note that the 16th, Wednesday, the 16th was a good date. I don't know about the commission.
Let
okay,
me ask this question. How long do you expect such a meeting to take? This is a very, very important subject. It's probably the most important financial decision this city has to make in my tenure on this commission.
I agree. If we
And
start
I
8:30,
think we ought to devote an appropriate amount of time to this discussion, and that appropriate amount of time means to me whatever it takes to get the job done.
well,
and-
and we can start,
And I would hope that we would get more information. We have to have more information than was presented at that meeting yesterday. That is bare bones stuff, and that's not enough for this commission
Okay.
to make a decision.
this will not be about the fire and EMS. This will be about the financial. It will be the update of how any scenario will impact our city. Because the board will weigh in next on the recommendation. This is the precursor information to update where we are financially, where our fund balance is. All of these scenarios, even the ones not recommended, have an impact on our finances. And so this would be that, this is not going to be the vote and the in-depth decision on if we get a pumper or all those details. This is going to be the clear position. So actually going for the board to go to the retreat, the board certainly at that point will understand, have the information to understand where we are financially. Is that, Bob, is that what?
But I'm not sure what that means, Pam, or Sue. I'm not sure what that means, where we are financially. We've got the latest financial report. In other words, you need a financial projection for X period of time into the future in order to effectively evaluate this project. And I refer to the fire and EMS decision. Is that going to be ready by the 18th or the 17th, whatever it is?
I don't think it will be related to this. To me, it's a waste of time to look at, before the Board of Aldermen weighs in. To me, we need to, again, look at our reserve balance, the projections of where we are right now. In my world of pediatrics, it was like the present level of performance. It's like, okay, here we are. Yeah, we have the financial audits. What are we looking at for fund balance, for the reserves? You know, we had a lot of these discussions last year. And, you know, even if a recommendation and by the board ended up doing nothing, we still need to know how that impacts our bottom lines. Randy.
I wouldn't be available on the 16th, but the 18th, if that works with many people, the 7 a.m. fine, the time frame is okay. And
I think Joan wasn't available and Joan, you was going to do this. So I think the 18th was out. The 17th, and you start texting and throwing out times and everything. So Wednesday, the 16th, would we at least have a quorum?
I can do the 16th.
I can do the 16th at 8:30.
Okay, Bob, Janine, any, Hans, are you available?
Should work for me, yes. Mhm.
I'm flexible.
Who was that?
Bob Aiken. Bob Aiken is flexible.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I can do it too.
Okay. Let's see, I'm checking my screens. That gives us everyone here. That would be 5. And we have a couple people missing. We have John and Mr. Goldberg, right? Pam, who's not with us today, or Bob?
And also Mr. Roberts.
Ah, yes. Okay, and what's our quorum? What do we need? 5?
Yep. 5.
Yes, so we would have 5. And I mean, I'm sorry, Randy, I think this is, looks like the only time, and I would really like for the mayor to be a part of this. Okay, so let's set a tentative Wednesday, the 16th at 8:30, and it will be, Randy, it will be recorded, taped, whatever we do on YouTube. And we will move, and Joanne, that works for you? Thumbs up? Thank you. Okay. All right. So that will be and we'll attempt to get the good discussions. We probably won't go till noon, but we will give it as much time, hopefully, until we start losing people. We will have hopefully that better discussions so that it clarifies the whole issues. None of the options really were looking at sitting well with our long-range financial situation. And so I thought this would be important for us to weigh in. And then later, after the board weighs in, there will be more on that recommendation, certainly how it impacts the city and how it will play out. Okay, any questions on that?
I'm still confused as to what we're supposed to do on the 16th, but I'll be there.
Thank you. That's great. And you'll get some information ahead of time. Thank you, Oz. Okay, let's look at the April financial report.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I did send out the April report, I think about the second week in May. We will be working on the May report, hopefully next week, as I show Joanne how we generally go through that report. Excuse me. So in the future, if you'd like to see things differently at all than what I've currently been sending you, giving you, please let Joanne know that so she can make accommodations for you. It's a little tough to say where we're going to end the end of the year, but yet you can see from the April report that typical phasing for the end of 4 months would be about 33%. And our spending is at just about 31% overall. Revenues, we've received about 36%. So we're online, at least with our budget. May sales tax, and I neglected to bring that with me. We do have the May sales tax numbers in, and they are showing down. May was a lower month than year to date, but still we're looking at pretty much on target with the budget, just down a little bit lower than last year at this time, because when we're comparing May 2020 and May 2020 and May 2021, we're really looking at March receipts, the actual March sales. So it was really the very beginning of the effect of the pandemic. So it hadn't quite hit in yet. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Like I say, we'll have May out to you shortly. But I'd just like to be available to answer any questions that you might have at this point about the budget or about the year-to-date expenses.
Any questions? Looking. I need a screen that has everybody on it. If someone is not being recognized, please let me know. Okay.
Sue, you should be able to do that. I have everybody up. If you hit the view, if you do the view section on the upper right-hand side, I think you can see everybody.
I got
Sorry, it's called gallery. You go to view and then gallery.
Well, I have a gallery. Oh, now I lost the whole thing.
I lost the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I have. Okay, what am I looking for, Bob? Or Hans?
Go to what's called, at least on my computer, go to what's called gallery, and you should be able to see everybody.
And I had the gallery with I have 9, but share. Okay, I have participants. I have that.
Here we go. There you go.
If you're on your iPad, you may only see 9. If you're on
I am on
a laptop or a computer, then you can see more.
Okay, that's what I have. And so I'll
Thanks,
just try to
Naz,
move
I
it
got
fast.
it.
If I'm not recognizing someone, please let me know. Not intentional. Okay, so I see no other questions for the April financial report. Can we move on then, Mr. Shelton, or well, I guess, yes, for the Public Works Management Audit update?
Yeah, Madam Chair, the Management Partners is well underway. They have been conducting interviews and they've gathered reports and information from the city. So they're underway with their study.
Great. Any questions? I see none. Okay, thank you. And then the state petition audit update.
Right, so the state auditor's office got into full swing this week. They have requested information from every department. They've begun interviews with key staff in every department, mainly, as you would probably surmise, especially with finance. So Pam and Joanne have already begun interacting, providing documents, and meeting with the state auditor's office. They will be making their official entrance at the board meeting on the 14th. And then they will also be on site on the 15th all day here in City Hall, at least 2 of the members of the staff. It appears they have 4 or 5 audit members from the state auditor's office working. So obviously that'll be a busy week with our meeting on the 16th, but they have begun seeking a variety of documents. And for the Ways and Means members, this will be a 2022 budget item. Again, I think the initial estimate from the state auditor side is $130,000, and then we would need to appropriate any other additional expenses on our side for to fulfill their request. So
there will also be a, not a hidden cost, but additional cost with kind of extraneous, all the staff time and materials. Pam? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So, and I'm sure we hope that people will be patient as they are making phone calls and inquiries and other actions that we would always like to have from the staff. There may be times when other work could be delayed because of this.
That's an excellent point. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any?
You do have a hand. You have a couple of hands, 3 hands up.
Hey, Janine?
So this is a little bit ahead of the schedule you were originally anticipating, isn't it? Because, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm just wondering, I know how difficult it is to try to get schedules and files pulled and everything when you're doing one audit and now you're doing two. And is that something that you could have somebody from Showalter and Jabouri come assist with if you need to, as an extra hand?
So I do know, in checking with other cities who have undergone audits from the state, that they did require additional either financial or legal expense. So we hope to utilize Ms. Wrights in her early retirement to assist us, and that will be an additional expense not budgeted. We do expect legal expense in above what is typically budgeted. So we will be relying on those, and if need be, whatever financial Showalter and Jabouri or whomever.
Okay, good, because I don't see any way for you to accomplish meeting both expectations
Thank you very
and
much.
doing your job on a regular basis.
That's a good point.
Thank you. Okay, Oz, you had a question?
Randy was first. Let her go first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Randy?
How long did you say they would be in Town and Country? Do you know how long, and do they present to us?
I didn't hear the question.
How long do they plan to be in Town and Country working, and will they present to our commission?
I do not know how they will make their presentation when they have a final report. I do not expect it until the end of the year. So far, the only thing they have told me is they will make their opening presentation to the Board of Aldermen.
But you do expect it by the end of this fiscal year, right, Bob?
That's what they have indicated.
That's a lot faster than what we were previously told. That's great. At least we'll get it over. The only question I had on this subject was, how many people did they bring? What kind of a team do they have? I'll put it that way.
It appears there are 5 currently working on it. Yes, we have about 5 different staff from the auditor's office who have been in contact.
Holy mackerel. Okay.
Okay.
All
right. Any further questions
on this subject or another subject?
On this subject, and we're at the end of the agenda, but I also was wondering if we would have an update on any of the latest federal dollars that could have passed through to us and or Wayfair. Do we know any?
I can start with Wayfair and then let Pam or Joanne follow up with federal dollars.
Okay.
From what I understand, the state did authorize Wayfair, which would allow for the online collection of sales tax from business to business or online purchases. So if the governor does sign that bill, then it would be up to the municipalities to also adopt that. So that would have to go to a vote of our residents. And as we have all talked about, the big piece for the city of Town and Country would be if the county wide 1 cent is approved, which is our general fund. Otherwise, the city would only get your local option, your capital, and your park stormwater. So that's Wayfair. I don't know if Pam or Joanne know anything about the federal dollars.
I know just a little bit more. I was on a 1-hour webinar last week, and was encouraged by what I heard, in that it looks like we can use our sales tax loss as the backup for the funds that we will get. I still haven't heard a better dollar amount than I think around the 2 million that we had gotten from, was that from MML, Bob?
I think so, yes.
And it looks to me from the legislation like that those funds will come to us through the state, not through the county. But that's just what it looks like to me. The ways that we can use that money, I think will be, I think it'll be fairly reasonable, fairly easy for us to collect the full funding that they allocate to us, which is about the 2 million. We have 4 years where we can show the backup for that $2 million. So through the end of 2024. And the main thing is they've kind of given guidance on how we calculate our revenue loss. So we can look at the prior 3 years before the pandemic. So that would be 19, 18, and 17, and look at our average change in revenues. And they just look at it bottom line revenues. There are some exceptions, some things that you take out of that revenue before you do that calculation. One of them being grants, which is good, because we wouldn't want that the CARES grant to be added in there and show that our revenue was higher in 20 and 21. So I haven't done those calculations yet, but we're pretty, I think from what I looked at and what we looked at with the ending 2020, that we can show over, I think it's close to $1.5 million of loss in sales tax collections. So that on its own will about cover that 2 million. Then when you figure in some of the other losses. So what I don't really know yet then is, even if we show, yes, we lost that revenue and we had so much in expenditures, I think then we also have to indicate where we're going to spend that money. So, again, this is just a real preliminary look at the new act. So there's a lot more research to do, but I'm confident, fairly confident in the brief look that I've had of that we will be able to claim our whole $2 million or whatever it is, at least over the next 4 years. We do need to remember when we're looking at spending that money, that it is a non-reoccurring source of revenue. So we don't want to build that in as revenue available to ongoing operating costs. Just, it's kind of like using fund balance. It's a one-shot deal. So that's kind of the main caveat with that money. But a lot more to come on that, and I will continue to look at that legislation.
Thank you. I kind of put you on the spot then. I didn't, I had it in my notes, but we hadn't talked about it, and you always come through for us, and I appreciate it. And just a question though, so things theoretically have opened up, and so if we're still down and people could still be resuming, but we've lost some businesses, is there going to be do you know if there would be like still look at the impact through 2021, or I'm saying to reflect what that continued impact from being shut down?
I think so. I think we're looking at coming up with our base revenue amount, which is based on the prior 3 years, or I think it was 4.5% increase, whichever is higher. And then we'll look at the losses in 20, 21, 22, and probably 23, and even 24. So I think we've got that whole time frame that we can look at the losses.
Okay, thank you. Any questions
on this subject or another subject?
Well, let's say this subject first. Okay, and before you start, Oz, I'd just like to recognize Mr. Proust had to leave at 9:30, and we do appreciate your being here and whenever you need to sign off, but We're ahead of schedule, so that's great.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. And Oz, go ahead.
Okay, I've got two questions, different subjects. First one, any new businesses coming into town?
So
I
I
heard-
don't know if we reported at the last meeting or not, but we did receive some good news at the Town and Country Crossing where Steinmart closed. REI is going to be occupying approximately 30,000 square feet. And they're an
Oh,
excellent
that's great.
outdoor high-end retailer. Their only other store in this market is at the Brentwood Square, and it does very well. So
Great.
we're thrilled with
Awesome.
that.
I,
Yeah,
that
that'll
is
be a-
really, really good news because that's a destination. People will drive quite far to go there. So Chesterfield.
That'll be a real good addition to this city, I
Excellent.
think. But
It's excellent for that shopping center, just with the other types of use in there with the Whole Foods. It's a nice mix.
It definitely fits in, so.
Definitely, yeah.
did
Okay.
we,
Is
Did
that
we
square footage, the entire prior occupant, the prior Steinmart, the whole store?
No, there will be another small space still available, but they will take the majority of the
Thank you.
space.
did we lose any business? Did we lose any businesses?
I'm not familiar with any business
Okay.
closing. I don't know if Pam or Joanne have heard. No, I've not heard of any closing.
I haven't heard of any recent closing.
Okay, good.
Good news.
And now I want to use a familiar term, circle back to a different subject. Back to the fire and EMS. Did I miss it or was it not mentioned? What the decision of the Fire and EMS Commission was at yesterday's meeting? I didn't hear what the decision was. I know what it was, but I would like you to articulate it, Bob.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I may have failed to mention this, but I thought I did.
You did.
Two
You did?
options which were carried forward as a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen were what the scenarios term, which you all previously reviewed, as options 4 and then 5 and 6. 4 being the city operating 2 fully operational brand new stations strategically located to serve the entire community, or option 5, 6 being annexed into the fire district, which obviously has to go to a vote of the people. So those were the 2 options that the fire task force recommended.
Okay, will you be available after this meeting? Because I've got a whole bunch of questions about annexation.
Most of which I'll not be able to answer, but I'll be available.
Oh, I think you will be able to. These are, okay, I really do.
Can I ask just a simple clarifying question? Does that mean that the main fire station here, the one we have, the relatively new one, will be closed, will be decommissioned at some point? Under either option?
If those 2 options went forward, it would either be reused for some other municipal purpose, sold. Yes, it would not mean utilizing the current station.
Thank you.
And what we did yesterday was to go through all of the options and clarify and do hard looks at the pros and cons of each of the options presented. And so I think when task force was finished, it was very better, transparent as to impact of certainly like response times, and attempted to show how it could impact the finances, where the costs would come from, and all that. Now, and that needed to happen certainly for the information to go to the Board of Aldermen at the retreat. But I felt that, and Bob and I, when we talked, I felt that that's good to know, but we also need to see how it fits into the whole picture of where we are in the city financially, which was based on my nay vote, or my nay vote was based on that thought process. And I do appreciate the work that went in to the task force, and, you know, the impact or the thought of the task force all along was, let's do what we're looking for, 20 years from now. Often people think we've kicked the ball down the road and we're settling for less than optimal. And the intent of the task force was to say, okay, what gives us the optimal for what individuals believe are the needs of the city for safety and, response times, the whole scenario.
Can you send a copy of that presentation, Bob, out to members of this commission? I suggest you do so because it is an update to the information you gave us last time.
Yeah. If it's okay with the commission, there were some minor changes, upgrades recommended. And so I'd like to make those amendments and then send that out so you all have that prior to your next meeting.
Right. And that was
Thank you.
that was the work that went into yesterday's meeting. Okay, Randy?
When we're going to return to in-person meetings?
I'm sorry, didn't hear that whole question.
When are we going to return to in-person meetings?
The mayor has said that we believe we will, certainly the Board of Aldermen will be meeting in person in July. And whenever we have the ability, and we can move forward on that. And I think everyone is looking forward to that. And we'll depend on Mr. Shelton to and the mayor to come up with when that decision can be made. All right. Well, we are, I think we've had good discussions and there's certainly more to come. So I do appreciate availability of individuals to meet on the 16th at 8:30. And Randy, we will have that for you to listen to afterwards, and we'll get the information to you. And hopefully we can get the other gentlemen to be there. So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And we have a second. So, all right. We
Madam
will.
Chair, I would like just to share one thing before everybody leaves. It's not a Ways and Means agenda item, but
Okay.
Next Friday at 5:30 is one of our concerts at Town Square. It is a ticketed item. Tickets are very reasonable, $10, but it was the first one was an absolutely beautiful event. So I encourage you to go to the website. It's on the homepage, and you can bring a group. You can come as an individual, but the band next Friday, a week from today, will be Featherstone Drive, which is a local town and country group. So,
And you bring your own chairs, right?
chairs, blankets, yes.
Okay.
You say the
Randy?
first one was a beautiful event, Bob, is that what you
It
said?
was absolutely beautiful.
Well, how many, was it well attended?
It was fairly well attended, yes.
Okay.
We had to limit due to the county, and now those restrictions have been lifted.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Randy, go ahead.
Is there any progress for the Director of Public Works position?
So we're still working on that.
Okay, so we have had the motion to adjourn, and we had a seconded, and it's 9:35. Would all those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, and we are adjourned, and thank you all for coming, showing up at home. And we
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing everyone in person.